Today marks 1 week since Hurricane Helene made landfall in Florida. President Joe Biden is there. He's in Keaton Beach. Just moments ago, we got these images, getting an update from local and federal emergency officials on recovery efforts there. But earlier today, he surveyed Helene's devastation. He did that by helicopter. The president will head to Georgia to next tour a lot of communities who are also impacted by the storm. You know, Biden's visit comes 1 day after he got a firsthand look at Helene's destruction in the state of North Carolina. He was able to fly over and really take in the enormity of that destruction. You see it right there. No surprise when you see this, that nearly 200 people lost their lives across 6 states. By the way, hundreds are still missing, so the death toll could go up. CBS News national correspondent Manuel Bojorquez joins us now. You're in Marion, North Carolina. We see a lot of mud where you are, where there used to be, it looks like a parking lot. Set the scene for us. How are the people there in North Carolina doing in the wake of this?
That's right. They're cleaning up. I do want to warn you, at any point we may lose this signal because the cell service is still spotty here. But as you pointed out, you look at all this mud here and you imagine that the Catawba River is on the other side of that shopping center, and it came up all the way here and even then some further from where we're standing. So people are cleaning up. On our drive over from Tennessee, we did see today that there is still a lot of activity when it comes to emergency personnel moving from area to area, power crews getting into position and trying to establish the electricity again for these communities. A lot of action going on, a lot of cleanup. But in many ways, the big takeaway here is something that the National Hurricane Center had always been trying to impress upon us, that yes, the hurricane intensity and the speeds around the eye are important and destructive, but the inland flooding, the threat of water, which is always the #1 killer, that is something that people should also pay attention to. So in the wake of all of this, I think people will have to reassess how we look at hurricanes and their threats.
Yeah, water with the power to literally move mountains and mountains of mud like you're standing in. Manny, the president has deployed, what we understand, about 1,000 troops to that state. How are they going to help with community members who are already engaged in this recovery effort?
Well, we know that at this point, FEMA is still out looking for those who are missing with teams of volunteers. That's happening not just here in North Carolina, but also in Tennessee. So when you come to a disaster, as you know, the power is out. I mean, even something as what may seem small is just guarding and securing an intersection so that traffic can easily move and people can get from point A to point B, get resources across. There are roads that are washed out where they may need to build some kind of infrastructure, temporary at least, to get people back on their feet. But right now, we're just less than a week out of all of this, so you still have areas that are inaccessible, and those troops will be helping to try to secure some of those areas and really facilitate the aid that continues to pour in.
Manny, thank you so much. Reporting live from Marion, North Carolina. Be safe, and our best to those communities as they put their lives back together. So road hazards in South Carolina, just a small part of the aftermath after that deadly hurricane Manny's talking about. In fact, police posted this. Look at that. A chunk of the road not only missing on the highway, but also showing that if you take one step in the wrong direction, you will not only be under the highway, but hundreds of feet below the highway. Jess, Manny talked about this, how the power of water can move mud and literally mountains.
Yes, and of course the storm surge too, just as that hurricane entered Florida, hitting at a Category 4. Now we're continuing to keep a close eye on all the impacts throughout all the states when it comes to this system that moved throughout the states last week. But as we take a look at what's coming right around the corner, there is a lot of activity going on out in the tropics. It's just well offshore, and it's not going to be impacting the states anytime soon. Taking a look behind me, I want to start off with 2 different systems. There's Tropical Storm Leslie, and just ahead of it is Hurricane Kirk. And of course, many community members widespread throughout the East Coast right now are concerned about what's the next system that's going to be moving its way close to us while we're still dealing with all this damage. Now, the good news is Kirk is expected to stay well offshore, currently at a Category 3, continuing to move north and then back into the east, not impacting anyone in the states anytime soon. And of course, we continue to keep a close eye on Tropical Storm Leslie, but it's no factor as of now. Our severe weather outlook is still showing some active weather, though. Tropical storms, not a concern, but thunderstorms, yes, that's the case for everyone throughout Florida as we head into into the evening hours tonight. Kicking off this weekend, we're going to continue to see more active weather, especially down closer to New Orleans and all throughout southern Alabama. Heavy storms expected there, thunderstorm activity. A chance of that hail is possible in those regions too. Tornado activity, not necessarily, but keep in mind, Reed, it was that exact area where that hurricane swept through just last week, and they're still dealing with more thunderstorms this week. So we keep them in mind, we keep them in our thoughts, but of course that weather is just so active during this time of year.
And relentless.
I know.
All right, Jess, thank you so much. So